In the previous section, we learned about two types of authentication. One was managed authentication and the other one was federated authentication. Now let's understand more about these. What is a managed authentication? Now, whenever you hear this term managed, it means that something is managed by the cloud provider. In this case, it's the authentication. It means that Azure Active Directory, which is taken care by Microsoft Cloud, would handle the authentication process. The credentials are stored locally in hashed format and the passwords are hashed out there in a local version of Azure Active Directory. Now, when it comes to federated authentication, it means that Azure Active Directory redirects the client computer to another identity provider, which is also called as a federated provider. So the managed authentication is taken care by Azure Active Directory, whereas federated authentication is handed over to another identity provider. Now, within managed authentication, we got two types of authentication. One is password hash sync, also acronymed as PHS, and then there is pass-through authentication, which is acronymed as PTA. Now, password hash sync is where the Azure Active Directory performs the authentication itself, and PTA is where the Azure Active Directory will let the Active Directory on premises perform the authentication. Now, let us try to understand these in detail, and we're going to do that in the next section.